Welcome back to Beyond the Buzzer, the Basketball Fix's premier video and podcast, talking about everything NBL. We got Josh Higgins up on that side, the face and the voice of NBL, independent NBL. Jez and myself here in the studio that Jez has built with his own hands. Josh, back for another week. NBL is so close you can almost touch it.
Yeah, it definitely is, mate. It's 10 days away as of recording. So it'll be 9 days probably by the time we get this video out as well. So I couldn't be more excited for NBL basketball. And I guess we'll get into some news very shortly. There's been a couple of big signings as well to round out the off-season period. But this has just been a hectic off-season. I've sat here doing my top 25 and it was like a top 50 into a top 45 into a top 40. I just couldn't really get rid of names. So it's going to be coming out very soon on Fox Sport. Yeah, well, no, I think it's a pretty good top 25 list. I think a lot of people will have not a lot to say about it. A few guys of quality missing out, but again, there's always room for improvement. But I can't wait for the end of the season, for the start of the season, and obviously this episode as well, boys. Looking forward to talking some shit with you guys.
Yeah, well, Josh, I'm really looking forward to this 25 list. I'm not going to drop it. I'm not going to let it go because you love these lists, and you just gave us a little sneak peek, and I don't know. Derek Rucker might have something to say about it. We'll see.
I think he will. I think he'll definitely will. And just as much as I'll have a say about his list as well, that's the whole banter of it as well. But yeah, it'll be dropping on Fox Sport, I'd say early or late this week, early next week. So we'll see that very soon as well on the Fox Sport channels.
All right. So don't forget to subscribe to the Basketball Fix here on YouTube so you get all the content from not only us, but all the other people involved in the Basketball Fix. This episode today, it's all about NBL 26 award predictions. But first up, Josh, hit us up with some news from around the NBL.
Yeah, obviously some exciting news from an NBL's perspective. So for the Illawarra Hawks, the defending champions, they have gone on and signed Jaquori McLaughlin, which was a rumoured signing that was going to happen, and he spent a little bit of time there throughout the preseason, and then obviously the NBL Blitz as well. Had an impressive game against the Perth Wildcats in that win over the Wildcats in the NBL Blitz, and he is now signed on a one-year deal. So boys, I ask you this question. He's going to come in as a backup for this season. It does seem like it as well. And I believe the hope is that Tyler Harvey, will become an Australian citizen. So what do you think of this signing for the defending champs? Because I'm not sold on their roster. I know you're an Illawarra Hawks supporter, Ryan. So how about you go first?
Okay. We just said in the background, Jez, you want to go first, but put me in, no worries. I think, from my perspective, what was so good about Illawarra last year was the energy that Will Hickey brought off the bench. And the times where he did start, it was a bit of a surprise moment for the opposition to then have to handle that. Him in a full-time starting role, I'm not really sure about how that works, the dynamic of the team. And most of all, if we get that energy off the bench again. I'm a pretty general basketball follower. I don't know the ins and outs, the depths of everything. So for me, it's going to be about seeing it first and foremost on the court and over the first few games. How does this kind of all work together? So it's a very interesting thing for me as a Hawks fan to see this team that just won a championship and now lose four very key, was it 3 starters and 2 starters and 2 bench, very important bench players gone, and try to fill that gap and see what can come about of it.
Yeah, I think the Will Hickey experiment is going to be one to watch over those first few rounds because he's been so impactful, such a great 6-man, changes games, turns it on its head. He comes in with that right energy. Now being a permanent starter, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But I was thinking more for Tyler Harvey. Maybe he needs to go and play for Adelaide because then he'll just get an Australian citizenship just like that. They've got the connections there. So maybe that trade needs to happen if he wants to become an Aussie. But yeah, I think bringing in McLaughlin, nice that they could have a little try before you buy, I think. So they sort of did not the same type of thing last season with Darius Days, where they played against Darius Days and then picked him up. And it's been sort of the similar type of concept. So I think Justin Tatum knows what he's doing, puts a lot of faith in him. They got to test him out a little bit, see where he fits. So yeah, I think, good for them. They needed to fill that role. A good guy coming off the bench, or I think you can also see that maybe he will start and Hickey could come off the bench if that doesn't work. So Yeah, I think it's a good trade and an important piece for them to have done a few weeks out from the season. I think they didn't want to wait any longer before they brought in that next import. So I think it's the right time now. You just stick to your guns.
No, definitely. And I think it's a relatively good signing for the Illawarra Hawks. And Justin Tatum has had a connection with Jaquori McLaughlin as well. They both played in Indonesia together as well. And the other one of note, quickly before we move on, was the Perth Wildcats were circling there for a little bit. And John Rillie and Jaquori McLaughlin have spent a bit of time together as well in college. John Rillie actually was an assistant coach when Jaquori McLaughlin was over there in the system as well. So, yeah, obviously a couple little connections there in the NBL, but eventually he finds himself at the Illawarra Hawks. Now, the second and third one are very, very interesting ones. So the same day that the Perth Wildcats were announcing their star import Mason Jones, the Adelaide 36ers and Bryce Cotton dropped a complete bomb, which has changed the trajectory, I believe, of the NBL this season. And I think we'll start with Bryce because I think this is arguably bigger than anything that's happened this offseason. You know, him signing there was huge, but now him being an Australian citizen. Now, what this could mean, boys, is he may sign, he's now an Australian. That will happen before the start of the season. So what they can do right now from an Adelaide 36ers perspective is they can pull Dejan Vasilievic's contract off of the marquee spot. That will then put Bryce Cotton as a marquee player and save a significant amount of salary cap as well. From there, what they will need to do, if they want to bring in another import or a high-level local, depending on how they want to do it, they will need to cut a player and then they will be able to bring in an import or another marquee. So what you can have, people at home, there's been a bit of confusion around this. You can have 4 players. So you can have 3 imports, 1 marquee, 2 imports, 2 marquees, however you want to do it. But there has to be a total of 4, no more than 4. So it's going to be very interesting. So I think they need a defensive stopper. I've been talking about the Antonius Clevelands of the world, the Justin Simons, someone who can lock down from 1 to 4, even the 5-mans as well, the small ball. So what are your thoughts on Bryce Cotton, boys? This is an exciting one. I'll throw it to you first, Jez.
I think it was all a part of the plan. I don't know, like this whole move, Bryce being so committed just from nowhere. I don't know. Somehow I feel like I don't know, falling into this conspiracy theory type thing of they knew this was all going to happen. They had it all planned out. That someone knows someone at the immigration office, and they were going to sort it out. And that's why Bryce is like, I'm moving to Adelaide, to the enemy. But you know, I think, yeah, it certainly opens things up for Adelaide. Like that next step, it's dangerous because you've got your team, everything was set. And if it hasn't been in the pipeline, you bring in someone late. We know how sort of that can be, you know, it could change Adelaide, like you said, if they bring in a defensive player, and it could really give them that last little piece that they need to maybe be absolute favourites to win the title, or it could derail everything because you bring in some guy, you bring in a new import, you know, in a few weeks' time or when they sort it all out and just fuck everything up. There's already a lot of personality in Adelaide at the moment and a lot of guys that want to be the face and want the ball and want the attention, and you bring in one more, you can go bust.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's opportunity to fuck it right up, but there's opportunity to make it a little bit better. And Adelaide are very good at
fucking it up.
Exactly. So history says that they'll make that move. And but you know, as a general basketball fan, it's fantastic to see Bryce get this opportunity. He's given so much to basketball in Australia, and you know the amount of time he's lived in the country to now be able to call it his home and be a part of the Australian culture and the Australian way of life as an Australian. It's fantastic. It's something that we all share and treasure. So it's fantastic for him. And they did say that it was in the pipeline, you know, for a long time. And you know, we know that around citizenship that it takes a while. Like, you know, we live in different countries and it takes years sometimes. So whether or not it was this conspiracy, it's fun to think that way. But you know, whether it is or not, you know, it's fantastic for Bryce and his family to have that opportunity.
Before we go on to anything else, Josh, do you think he plays a game for the Boomers?
Oh, I was about to say #Boomer Bryce in the chats. I reckon it would be incredible. I don't think Oh, to be honest with you, he definitely could. But like, I think he said saying, I know it was probably in frustration of not getting the Australian citizenship, but I did think he did say something that he wouldn't play for the Boomers, you know, with how far and how long this process has gone on. But if the opportunity presents itself at, you know, the Olympics in 2028 in LA, I would put my money on that. Bryce will be definitely in that training camp and be circling around the squad as well. So, you know, Paddy Mills is on the way out, and there's a guy called Bryce Cotton who could well and truly, I think, fill some of those shoes as well that Paddy Mills will leave. But the last big news is circling around the Perth Wildcats, and we've got an incredible show coming after this, boys, as well. So a nice little brief one on this, but Mason Jones has officially signed with the Perth Wildcats. Now, we will speak about our predictions later on in the show, but this has changed the trajectory for me for the Perth Wildcats. And I'm going to run you through a few of these stats, boys. So he's an ex-NBA player. He's played for the Houston Rockets, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Sacramento Kings. He's also spent a big amount of time in the G League as well. Now, his most recent G League season, he played for the Stockton Kings. So the Sacramento Kings' G League affiliate. He averaged 23.6 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, and 7.7 assists. So he's going to give you the scoring punch, but he's also going to be able to facilitate and bring your teammates into it as well. He's a 6'4" point guard. He shot it at 49% from the field, and get this, boys, 45% from the three-point line as well. So this guy is an absolute bucket. He had a game last season where he had 49 points and 10 assists with 10 three-point makes. And even looking at his last 5 games in the G League last season, 19 points, 13 rebounds, 27 points, 11 assists, 21 points, 38 points, 47 points, and 10 assists. So this guy is a certified bucket. I think he's going to be up there in some pretty rare form. I think once again, with so many incredible imports coming over, he could definitely be a top 5 to top 10 player become the end of the season. So, boys, Mason Jones, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's a pretty huge signing on the eve of the season, especially, everybody's sort of writing Perth off, you know, in different areas, and then they sign this guy, and now you're turning a former Perth Wildcats supporter that turned into an Adelaide 36ers supporter to be now back a Perth Wildcats supporter. So it's definitely made some moves in the NBL this season for sure already, and he hasn't even played a game yet. But I don't know. It's like with any of these imports, I think it's just another import that's coming into the league that's obviously showing that the NBL has what it takes to start attracting some of these big players. He's a superstar of the G League coming here to play in the NBL, which is exactly what they want. But as we all know, you don't know until they get here and start playing NBL basketball what they can do and if they're going to be a game changer or not. We saw what happened with Kendrick Davis and all the hype around him last year, and he pulled it off, but we've seen many fall and disappear. So I don't know. I'm not ready to say that the Perth Wildcats are going to win the championship, but who knows if someone else on this panel or podcast will have their say when it comes to predictions for the NBL 26 season.
What I will say quickly there, boys, what I want to say quickly is I think my patience and my consistency with going for the Adelaide 36ers for a small period of time has changed the trajectory of the franchise. All Perth Wildcats fans, thank me down in the comments below, all right? I said I was going to go for Adelaide, and Mark's pulled the checkbook out and gone and grabbed Mason Jones. So once again, thank yous, likes and subscribe. We'll do it all for the boys.
That's fantastic, boys. Let's move along. We want to get into the awards part, and